Thanks for joining me today on my channel, Hey Day the Day Away. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see all my upcoming videos. Hey all, this is Lucy, and today I want to talk about the Mystery Derby and give you a few tips that I do and my team to help Mystery Derbies be easier or work more smoothly. So the first thing that I think people need to know, and I'll see if I can't put a photo in here of it when I finish up this video. This is what I mean. There are 3 mystery tasks showing here, and only a maximum of 4 will show. 4 that you can choose. Now, once somebody has taken that task, then another one might pop up. And somebody takes that task, then another one might pop up. But a maximum of 4 question marks will show up on your task board at once. So if you are in a championship league team, you want to trash sparingly. It doesn't do you any good to keep trashing if there's already 4 question mark tasks showing on your board. So that's just a tip for if you're in the championship league. And one of the most important things that I think people need to know is that if you are going to be away for work or for bedtime, or you know you have family time afternoon coming up, you should not take a task right before you're going to be away from the game, because you could get an egg task or a wheat task, corn task, milk task, any task that has a short expiration time, and you may not have time to complete it. So those are my words of wisdom on those things. Now, the other thing that I would recommend is starting sooner. There are those people who usually on a normal derby would work during the week, and they like to start later in the week on their derby. Well, Mystery Derby is not one of those ones that you want to do that, because you can get stuck with some difficult tasks and you may not have time to complete all the tasks you need to complete before the derby is over. So start sooner and work slowly and methodically towards finishing. You should also consider stacking items. Now you'll see that I started putting in some goat cheese here on my dairy, because by the time I go to bed, all of this is going to be filled up with goat cheese, and when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to have 11 goat cheeses sitting here at my dairy, and they would go towards a task. Now, it's also a good idea to stack some of the more common items. So now that we have 2 sugar machines, I filled both of them with syrup, because syrup is the only sugar item that is a task. So if I get a sugar task or a syrup task, I'll be able to complete that quickly. Now, some of the other more common ones are bacon and eggs, because there's a bacon and egg task, and there's also baskets that take bacon and eggs. I did the chili popcorn, and I did some blue sweaters. White sweaters are a good option too. I haven't really stacked my pie machine yet. I did some hot dogs, and I did olive oil. Olive oil is a good one. And vanilla ice cream is a really good one to stack, because it is a vanilla ice cream task and also a basket task. So just use your best judgment, and you absolutely don't have to stack. You know, it's totally up to you and what your preference is. But during mystery derbies, that's the only derby that I actually stack things for. Now, if you do get yourself in a pinch, say, for example, you decide that you wanted to fill up your candy machine, and you filled it full of candy bars. I actually did this one time with jelly beans. Mystery Derby, I filled my candy machine with jelly beans, and I then got a toffee task. I was in a pickle. I had to use diamonds to finish my jelly beans, and I also had a booster running for my jelly beans. So if you get in a pickle, you may have a booster for that machine that can help you get out of that pickle. And I barely finished that one on time. So I learned that lesson very well. Don't fill your machines up during Mystery Derby. I actually did it once on my juice machine as well. So sometimes it takes me a little bit to learn things. I'm slow, but I eventually catch on. Now, my other advice to you is if you have rented Rose, turn her off. I would say I would put all of her stuff at 0. Me personally, I have a terrible memory, and if I left her running, then I would forget she's running, and it would mess up a task. If I had a feed task, a milk task, an egg task, a bacon task, that would be terrible. So I would recommend turning her off and possibly not renting her if you haven't rented her already. Then I would say also not to put any nets, definitely no nets, because if you get a fishing task, you will have, hours and hours of nets sitting in your spots. And I would recommend no traps either. So maybe duck traps wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would slow you down by a few hours. For a mystery derby, I just usually pull all my nets and traps and I just wait till my derby is over and then I play as normal. I also only plant short-term crops unless it's overnight. Sometimes overnight I will plant tomatoes, all tomatoes. I think they did away with the strawberry task, and sometimes I'll do all chili peppers just on the out chance that I might get that harvest task the next morning. And then if I don't get that task the next morning, then I just harvest them and I've got extra. The next thing that I think is really important is to communicate with your neighborhood. Your neighborhood wants to do well in this derby too, most likely. Some people just play it really casually, and in that case, it's okay. Every team is different. But in our team, we're pretty competitive, but we also like to have fun. And so communicate with your neighborhood. So if you got a townie task and you need a certain townie, tell your neighbors that you need them. And a lot of times they will send them away for you. Also, if you got a tomato task or, a sesame task or who knows, whatever task you might get for crops, and you're 20-30 short, ask your neighbors because they a lot of times would like to help out. Another one that people don't think of is if you get a fish task and you don't have enough lures. That reminds me, I should fill my lure machine, and I'm going to do that right now. If you don't have enough lures, you can also ask for lures in here. You can request, let's see, here. You can request lures. Now, I would only request worms because those are just as useful as any of the others, and most people usually have them. And that would be my suggestion for that. So remember, you can use a booster to give your machines an added boost. You might also have a booster for your crops if you need a little extra quickness to your task. Don't forget to ask your neighbors if you need an extra hand. So those are my suggestions and tips for a mystery derby. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so we can heyday the day away together. And join me for my next video where you can see what mystery tasks I get this week.